we have a big problem. Our principal has been kidnapped. And we need to figure out who did it. But first, we have to recall a little bit about drawing conclusions because that's going to help us figure out who kidnapped Mr. Barkle. Okay, I need everybody's undivided attention for the next couple minutes so we can remind ourselves how we are going to draw conclusions. So who can tell me what is a conclusion? Alex.
It's like you describe something, like Mr. Barkle has been kidnapped. So you would say, like, you would guess, like, what would happen next.
Okay, it's a conclusion is a judgment or decision that is formed after a period of thought or an inference.
All the teachers get kidnapped, then we won't have school. Oh,
Okay. So how do we form a conclusion? Olivia.
So, like, a conclusion is like, so, let's, for example, okay, so, Mr. Barkle was then kidnapped. The conclusion, like, drawing conclusions would be, like, if you didn't, like, fill out the paper or something, maybe you could just, like, okay, this is for example, what if Miss Busker did it, and
Oh no.
then what if we thought she did it? But what if she didn't do it? So like John.
So your inference would be that Miss Busker was the one who kidnapped Mr.
But like
Barkle.
we draw conclusions too fast, and like
So would Miss Busker being the kidnapper be your conclusion?
Yeah.
And what would we use to find your conclusion? Our inferences, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in order to form a conclusion, we are going to use what the text says or the things that we find, the evidence, and we're going to add that with what we already know. And that is how we find our conclusion. Equals my conclusion. And it's important to note that not everybody's conclusions are not always going to be the same because we all have different schema. Now, schema is one of those tricky words that you may not know, but it means how we form a way that we organize and interpret information. So that's different for everybody. What we already know is going to be different from what our partner may already know. So our conclusions may be different. Okay, so who can remind me, what is a conclusion? Alex.
Judgment or
Decision.
decision that
That's formed.
formed explanation.
Very good. And how do we get there? How do we get to our conclusion? Read it.
I have a question.
Oh, okay. Well, if you remember what you were going to say, raise your hand. No, we're not going to use violence to solve this crime. Okay, so who can remind me, how do we form a conclusion? Do you need a reminder? It's right up here on our poster. Quinn.
What we it's what we know about it and we try to figure it out.
What we already know and the evidence that we're given. So we're going to use drawing conclusion to solve this crime today. So I need everybody's undivided attention up here so that you will know exactly what we need to be doing. Okay, so groups of 2 people at a time are going to go look in the treehouse, which is the scene of the crime. Okay, it is important that we are so quiet when we're doing this because it is top secret. And we don't want any of the other people around us or any outsiders to know that we're working on this case. So you all have worksheet packets on your desk along with badges which will allow you to get into the crime scene. So what we're going to do on this first worksheet, when you enter the crime scene, you are only going to write down the 5 pieces of evidence that you see. Right in this item column, is everybody looking? So you know what to do? Okay, right in this item column, you are going to write the 5 pieces of evidence. Then you are going to return to your seats quietly, and you're going to write a conclusion about what that item means to you. So, for example, if I found a marker in my evidence, I'm going to write down marker here, return to my seat, and I'm going to write a conclusion. This makes me think that. So what could be a conclusion that we write about finding the marker? This marker makes me think that, Alex.
Mr. Barkle likes purple.
Does Mr. Barkle like purple or the kidnapper? The kidnapper, because the kidnapper left behind all these pieces of evidence. So we need to be mindful about what our conclusions are about this kind of evidence. So once you return to your seat, you're going to write your conclusions. Then you're going to write a description of the crime scene right here. If you have time before everybody else is done, you may draw a picture on the second page of the crime scene. If you have time, but the first page needs to be done first. You are also going to write your name under the investigator, along with the time and the date. And then we are going to come back together quickly and then break off into groups where you're going to read some testimony from some people around the school. Okay? So, I need everybody to put on their badges. And I need everybody to take out a pencil, please. Gracie, do you have a question?
What are you supposed to write?
So that's our crime scene description. What do you think? If you're walking around, what can you tell me about that crime scene? Maybe that the shoe was upside down, or things aren't all in order, right? So you could describe what's going on in the crime scene. Edward, do you have a question?
This word,
Okay, can you share it with me later during snack time? Awesome. Okay, are we ready to get started? Okay, so if you are not in the crime scene, you can be filling out the other information. I'm sure many people can get a glance, but I would let at the crime scene so you could start drawing your picture, or you could be writing the description, but I need everybody to stay quiet so that we can all focus. Ryan, are you listening, please? I need everybody to stay pretty quiet. So, my first two people that may enter, Edward and Adeline. See your bag. So quickly go through and write down all of those numbers. Okay, and then return to your seats quietly, please.
Can you get a clipboard?
Yes, you may get a clipboard. Great idea. Quietly, please.
I'll be allowed to walk around.
In this right now. So we're just gonna write. Quietly fill out that topic for me. One, I need everybody seated in their groups, please. And pull up an extra chair, Daniel. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk around in each group. Amy, I need everybody's attention so you're going to know what to do for this part. So each group is going to get a packet. In each packet, there is testimony from each suspect. Each group has the same packet. What I want you to do is pass out one page to each person in your group. Silently read the description. And then I want you to highlight things that are important and things that are connected to what you found in the evidence. So, for example, in the first one, when the art teacher was questioned by a secret agent on the job, she responded with the following. Who are you and where do you work? I am an art teacher here at school. So, for example, in that question, is there anything that you found in the evidence that might lead you to believe that the art teacher is connected to the crime? No, there's not. So what you're going to do is keep reading through those descriptions and highlight anything that links the crime scene to that person. Once you are done silently reading it to yourself, and the rest of your group is done, you may share amongst yourselves what you found. And then you're going to write that on the third page of your packets. Can I steal your packet, Daniel?
She did.
Okay, and on the third page of your packet, there are 3 boxes with arrows. So you're going to write down what you highlighted, and then because the text says this makes me think, or you're going to write down what you highlighted, in the second column right here. Everybody's eyes up here, please. In the second column, you're going to write what the text says. Amy, eyes up here, please. Write down what you found in your description. And then here, you're going to write what makes you think that. Why do you think she is linked to the crime, or he is linked to the crime? So you're going to fill out your evidence based on the descriptions on this last page. Then you may discuss with your group, thank you, Daniel, who you believe is the kidnapper. And you want to keep that all to yourself, because we're going to come together as a class and see if we all think the same person.
Most suspicious.
My wife's homemade cookies is good. Anything she cooks is amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more about my favorite things? My favorite color is blue. It's just a calming color. What were you doing at 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday, September 29th, 2015? I was going from classroom to classroom, making sure that the floors were swept. We can't have the students come into a dirty rooms. It took a while.
So what evidence did you find that linked, what evidence in that paper did you find that linked that person? Why is that evidence?
Shoes!
Okay, so you don't have to read the whole thing, so just share with each other what you found that links the evidence. Thank you. I just need one volunteer to tell me who kidnapped Mr. Barkle. Olivia.
Second grade teacher.
Second grade teacher.
Agree.
And I need one last volunteer to give me 2 pieces of evidence that linked the second grade teacher to the kidnapping. Alex.
The blue shoe.
The blue shoe and one other volunteer, Edward.
The tennis racket.
The tennis racket. So the second grade teacher had a lot of evidence, didn't she? There were a lot of things highlighted on her paper. So we used that evidence to come to our conclusion. We used what the text said, so what we highlighted on that piece of paper, what we already knew, and the things in the evidence room to link her to the crime. You guys did such a great job. I appreciate your hard work and working so quietly and diligently.